Peace and blessings to the family. It is me, Coach 67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC, Lions Den Boston community. Shout out to the Louisiana All-American Sports Network. Shout out to Envision Photography and Video. And shout out to the greatest university in the world, the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. This is the Tailgate Party, Season 1, Episode 13. Southern falls to 1-9. Can they get a win against Texas Southern on senior night? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, but we getting ready to get it going. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride, JD. Okay. Let's get ready to get it going. Let's get the description for today's episode. Well, let me phrase that. Tonight's episode of the Tailgate Party. Welcome back to the Tailgate Party, your home for all things Southern University football and HBCU sports. In episode 13, we break down the Southern Jaguars 35-17 loss to Alcorn State. In Fred McNair's return to the reservation, the Jaguars suffered another loss. What went wrong in Lorman and what needs to change before senior night versus Texas Southern? Can Southern get at least one home win this season? Can Southern finish strong and grab a win to close out the home season? Tonight's topics, the biggest takeaways from Southern versus Alcorn State, offensive and defensive struggle, and keys to victory against Texas Southern. So that's the description for season 1, episode 13 of the Tailgate Party. So let's get it going. Motivation to be a millionaire, go Jags. Relaxing calm man, salute coach, chat, Jaguar Nation, and HBCU family. Salute to your relaxing calm man. He also put Go Jags in the chat. Yes, sir. Motivation to be a millionaire. Said, salute Coach 67, chat, Jaguar Nation, and HBCU family. Salute to your motivation to be a millionaire. Your boy Jay say, Go Jags, salute coach. Man, salute to your boy Jay. Yes, sir. Go Jags. David Colligan, 6141. Can't nothing change, bro. It's too late for that. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But I still kind of want to break down and give my take on, what really went wrong against Alcorn State. And in addition to that, what could we do Saturday for senior afternoon against Texas Southern? My point of view, my perspective. Your boy Jay said, Fred no-showed the coaches call today and doesn't even do the Jaguar football show. This feels like a guy just collecting a free check. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest with you. Based on what I saw Saturday night, I kind of feel the same way. It kind of feels like he's just going through the motion. Because truthfully speaking, at least I felt like against FAMU, you could really see the jump and the difference between the offense prior to him taking it over. And you saw the jump from when Mark Frederick was calling the plays to when he started calling the plays against FAMU. However, since that point, there were points where we were like, yeah, hey, I think the players gave up and the players tapped out. But I'm going to be truthful, from a coach's perspective, just looking at what I saw Saturday against Alcorn, I'm just going to keep it a buck. It just kind of seemed like he just milling it in. He just kind of going through the motions from a coaching standpoint because the offense just was so vanilla. There were instances I felt like when it came to Trey Holly and you had a light box, when you really should have just went to straight dive. They tried to G block it and do this new pin and pull crap. And then there were instances where when you should have did that, you just straight dived it. And I'm like, man, look, in terms of the running plays, first of all, I wasn't averse to them giving Amari Asbury touches. I like the fact that they really was trying to get him involved early and get him touches. However, my issue is, when it came up, when you should have ran the straight dive running plays, you did the opposite and vice versa. So that's my real issue with the way they ran the running game. And in terms of the passing game, man, I'm not even going to lie. Like Ashton Strada, he really can't read coverage. He really can't read defense. In addition to that, it's like there were instances where, from a play calling standpoint, I felt like when you were up, because Southern was up early and they got an interception. When you were up, I felt like when Southern had the momentum, Once they get the interception, I really felt like they didn't take advantage of it. And part of that was, I think Fred McNair's play calling left a lot to be desired. There were instances where it was third down, I think 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, whatever. And they only had 3 defensive linemen. And instead of running the ball, they passed it. I'm like, man. So at the end of the day, I'm going to just keep it a buck. I really feel like Fred McNair, and I mean, don't get me wrong. We know the defense it's got to be the worst Southern University defense I've ever seen in my life. However, offensively, I feel like more of the 3 phases of the game, most of your talent is on the offensive side of the ball. And I'm not going to lie, I just kind of felt like Fred McNair, he really did the offense a disservice on Saturday. You know, it is what it is. Joseph David, Coach 67 Sports TV. Will 2025 going on is the worst football season in SU history? Well, to this point, Joseph David, in my lifetime, yes, it has been thus far. But I think they can change that if they can win the last 2 games. And if I'm being honest, Joseph David, I don't see them beating Texas Southern, and I don't see them beating Grambling. Now, hey, they play Grambling next week, and of those 27 players that got suspended, we know 9 came from Bethune. The rest came from Grambling. Had they played Grambling on the back end of that, I'd have been like, yeah. That they might have a chance. But more than likely, those players will be back for the Classic. I don't see Southern winning another game this season. If I told you anything else, I'd be lying. Man, salute to my brother, Jay Good. He got the peace sign and the salute emoji. Man, salute to my brother, Jay Good. David Colligan, 6141. He said, opponent is complete trash, as well if the next coach don't get these players off the team, it will be a repeat with the new coach. Well, first of all, I'm not going to lie. Kenny Lee Pham is a senior, so I don't think you really have to worry about him. And also, you know, one of the Southern University, like, Facebook groups that I'm in, it basically said over 50% of the players won't be back on this team next season. And I'll put in the chat, closer to 3/4 or closer to 80% won't be back. And I'm just kind of spitballing that number. It might be even higher than that. So, truthfully speaking, the vast majority of the players that's on this current roster, they won't be back next year. I'll be willing to bet dollars to donuts or put my bottom dollar on it. It's not going to happen. Like, this team is going to be a high turnover rate to next season, especially when you bring in the next head coach. If he's a FCS coach or even if he's a Division II coach, he's going to bring in his own personnel, his own players to fit his scheme and his system. And as a result, the vast majority of the players you see on this team, they won't be on the team next year. Man, salute to my brother, Jared 11 Green. He said, salute, family. Salute, bro. Your boy Jay said 98% of this team is going next year. I heard they already narrowed it down to 10 coaches. We would definitely have somebody ready to be announced the Monday after the Bayou Classic. And for those individuals that saw my 90-day plan, essentially, that's kind of my same line of thinking and my same mindset. The minute the clock strikes 0 for the Bayou Classic, that next coach already needs to be lined up. And the Monday after the Bayou Classic, you need to announce that coach first thing Monday morning and let him hit the ground running from a recruiting standpoint, whether that's Joe Taylor, whether that's Dr. Alvin Parker, whether that's Quinn Gray, whether that's Shelton Huggins, despite who the coach may be, even if it's a celebrity coach like maybe Marshall Falk, Kevin Falk, whoever the coach is, whoever the next head coach is, you need to announce that guy the Monday after the Bayou Classic, and you need to let him hit the ground running from a recruiting perspective and from a recruiting standpoint. David Colligan, 61-41. He said, thank God, because they all need to go, coaching staff and players and maybe the trainers. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, we kind of already established that, like, it's gonna be an extremely high turnover for this particular team in terms of, it's gonna be very few players coming back. Uh, you know, I said, for the most part, for the exception of Trey Holly, I'm not really interested in a whole lot of players from this team. I've stated some players in the past, but as the weeks have progressed, like, I've kind of had a change of heart. Like, it's not anything personal, but at the end of the day, you want to win, and you need to bring in players that's going to help you get to where you need to go. And then, of course, the 90 plan that a coaching friend of mine laid out. Essentially, he said he would keep Trey Holly first and foremost, of course, if he could bring him back. I'll say the same thing. Trey Holly might be the long player I would want to keep. He said Trey Holly. He said defensively, Herman Bristol III. Offensively, he said Dylan Compton, Amarian Asbury, Darren Morris, Malachi Sticks Jackson, and Kobe Brown. And that pretty much was it. And then, of course, Jay Good, he had a few players that he was like, hey, I will keep these guys. For the most part, we kind of all saying some of the same names. But at the end of the day, like, this is a historically bad team. The turnover rate needs to be extremely high. It needs to be extremely high in terms of the amount of players you bring in back. And it needs to be very few. David Colligan said 10 coaches is a lot. That's not a narrow down. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. 10 coaches that's a lot. Your boy Jay said off script was watching the game, and they mentioned how 6-7 shouldn't be playing because he's too big and too slow. Well, I'm not going to lie. I had kind of already mentioned that. And, shout out to Scotty. I met him last year for homecoming when Southern played against Alcorn State. And truthfully speaking, I was watching it on ESPN Plus, but there were points where I really switched over to his channel and I watched it. And I'm not going to lie, like, from a commentary standpoint, like, I agree with a lot of the concepts, a lot of his concepts, first and foremost, in terms of the offense. He mentioned this, how, you would send a receiver in motion to determine whether a team is playing man or playing zone. And I said the same thing Saturday, like, even like just playing match. Like, I remember my cousin and I, my co-host on Bayou Sports Talk, like, we would play match, and I would always send somebody in motion to determine whether the defense is playing man or playing zone. And truthfully speaking, he might have been like one of the only few people that really was able to trip me up and disguise what he was doing. Of course, he used to like the zone blitz a lot. So everybody else, I would send somebody in motion. I was able to determine, hey, they playing man or they playing zone. So he was one of like the few people that, I don't know what kind of coverage he was running, but he disguised it. He ran some kind of zone blitz. When I sent the slot guy in motion from one side to the other and back to that side, he ran his own blitz. But then thereafter, I knew what he was doing. So I knew even if I send this guy in motion, it's disguised, so he going to follow him. And as soon as the ball is snapped, it's some kind of zone blitz. And Scotty pointed that out, like, hey, you got to send a guy in motion to determine if it is like man or zone. So, Scotty pointed that out. He said the same thing about I'd already kind of said this about the run, like, in the past, like, just watching the games. And of course, it's different watching the games on your phone and being in A.W. Mumpler Stadium. You can see things, when you're watching it on TV that you really can't see in the stadium. And truthfully speaking, there were some instances where they should have gave a straight dive, give like that inside zone look. And I felt like there were instances, instead of giving the inside zone look, they gave the straight dive and vice versa. So you got to know when to just run the ball straight ahead, and you got to know when to, give them that inside zone with the pin and pull or the G blocking, or however we call it, G blocking that assumption. Where the outside guys would crash down, and then you would have that guard pull around or whatever. So at the end of the day, schematically, Fred McNair, he really kind of let me down Saturday night, in my personal opinion. I felt like they left a lot to be desired because the offense looked extremely vanilla. Extremely vanilla, you know. And you're right. Like, I heard Rocky say that, and Rocky was like, yeah, he said the guy, like, he said Rodgers is like 5 foot tall, like 400 pounds. He over exaggerated the weight and the height, but he's right. Like, he's extremely, like, he's big, like he's a ginormous nose guard, but he's extremely immobile, and that's why he really kind of gets pushed around a lot. Like, you can't be big, immobile, and not exceptionally strong. He's not strong. He's very immobile, and that's why he really. And it's to the point I'm not even lying. Like, teams run directly at him, and it's like, come on, man. Like, you cannot be this big and let teams just like run directly at you. So the fact that he's starting, like, it's an indictment on the defensive line play. Your boy Jay said this staff doesn't care anymore. The second grades got fired. They stopped caring. It's just a free check till the end of November. And that's the thing, your boy Jay. At least I kind of feel like against FAMU, like they really kind of went all out and they really was trying, even though I disagree with Fred McNair's decision when you were down by 1 point to punt the ball from a game management standpoint, because your defense couldn't stop a nosebleed against FAMU. And you're down by 1 point, you punt the ball. Then you're down by 8 points and you punt the ball again. So in those scenarios when it was 4th and 1 and it was 4th and 3, like, he should have went for it, but he's an extremely conservative coach. So he punted in both of those instances. However, I feel like at least they were trying against FAMU. It kind of felt like they just milled it in against Alcorn State. That's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong, but based on what I saw, I felt like the players went all out and the players didn't give up on it. The players trying to win, but I feel like from a coaching standpoint, like, it just feels like that they really just kind of going through the motions. David Collins said all of them is trash. Bristol trash, bad angles on the run, down, give up on plays a lot, get rid of everybody but Holly, but he gone too if we not paying him. Well, I'm not gonna lie, in terms of realistically, I think you, David Collins, I think you're right from the standpoint of the defense. The reason why this is a historically bad defense is from a tackling standpoint. Like, they miss a ridiculous amount of tackles. You right from the standpoint of they take poor pursuit angles. I don't think it's just him. I think it's really the entire defense, truthfully speaking. And my coaching friend, I kind of agree with him. Herman Bristol III does not look like the same player from last year, but I don't think it's just him. Whether we talking about Rodney Johnson, like Eric Reed Jr., I have not seen him at all this season. I don't know if he's hurt or what. But, based on what I saw from Herman Bristol III last year, I agree with him. I would bring Herman Bristol III back. Of course, we know Kelby Givens is a senior. We know Vince Page Jr. is a senior. We know Mike Jones is a senior. So, like, those are kind of like your top 3 guys in your front 6. And then on the back end, yeah, Herman Bristol III, he struggled this season. But based on what I saw last season, I think if you put the right players around him, I think he could get back the way he was last year. And you're right from a Trey Hollis standpoint. Like, the second the clock strikes all zeros at the Bayou Classic, yeah, he's already in the transfer portal. I think the only thing that really would prevent him from leaving and going elsewhere, like, you're right, there's an NIL bag waiting for him somewhere, but I think the situation with his charges, from what I'm understanding, his trial is supposed to be in April. And as a result, I really think since his trial is in April, that kind of might hinder him in terms of where he goes. But I think if his charges are dropped by a certain point, yeah, he's definitely out of here. No two ways about it. And I said that when the season started. Trey Howard is going to be here for a good time, not a long time. And truthfully speaking, I believe the rumors in terms of, he tried to raise shirt, but a month ago, couple months ago, whatever. And truthfully speaking, like, Southern gave you the opportunity to play. And truthfully speaking, since they gave you the opportunity, like, nah, you shouldn't have raised shirt. So that's my perspective. Your boy Jay said the ones you do keep, the new coaches have to break those bad habits the old coaches taught them. Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I think the fact that this season is a historically like bad season, I think that's the reason why like you see somebody like a Herman Bristol III who's not playing as well this year as he played last year. Like I said, he's probably the only player I would want from off the defensive side of the ball. Those other three players, like I said, they're all seniors. So, and that's another thing too, considering you have so many seniors on this team. Like, man, Zach Yassine is a senior. Kelby Givens is a senior. Mike Jones, Vince Page, Rodney Johnson, all of those guys are seniors. And, for you to have, don't get me wrong, I know you got a few players hurt, but considering you have this amount of seniors, there's no way I thought this team would have been this bad with the amount of seniors they have. It's insane to me. Salute to my brother Anthony Bolton, Memphis Tiger, man. Salute to you. Man, salute to Blackwater Bayou. He said salute, coach, and chat. Man, salute Blackwater Bayou. Devin Hartwick, he said we need to get Chad Easley Jr. from Kentucky State, big-time running back from Assumption Parish. Well, I'm from Assumption Parish, too, and I already know. In fact, realistically, Kentucky State got a couple players from this area, you know what I'm saying? They got the other kid from Ascension Catholic. He played linebacker and running back. So I'm not gonna lie, Felton Huggins, he did an excellent job recruiting Louisiana. So, I know certain individuals probably wouldn't want Felton Huggins from the standpoint that he went to Grambling. But truthfully speaking, I'm not gonna lie, like he definitely was able to get some big time players from the state of Louisiana. So that would be the thing that would be like, yeah, hey, I would want him as the head coach. I know, you got people like Fierce 5304 that's like, hey, he went to Grambling. Like, we don't want nobody that went to Grambling. But at the same token, he did an excellent job recruiting Louisiana. So that was one of the things about Felton Huggins that kind of caught my eye, caught my attention. Bobby Harris 3426 said, he said Felton Huggins Jr. or Drew Maddox. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I take Felton Huggins. I'm not going to lie. Felton Huggins, he kind of would be my guy. Don't get me wrong. I think you could go in a variety of different directions, but I'm going to talk about this in my next video. Like, you always have people that, once we get to talking about who should be the next head coach, you always got a few people that graduated from Southern, people that graduated from other HBCUs. Like, hey, Southern need a white head coach. This HBCU need a white head coach. Like, why, bro? Like, that's the thing that irritates me. Is like, why do some black people have like a white savior complex? That's the thing that, don't get me wrong. I think Southern could go in a variety of different directions. And if the coach is a good coach, I think they're going to work out at Southern. I think Terrence Graves was definitely not the right guy. When it came to Eric Dooley, I think Eric Dooley definitely could recruit. It's no two ways about it. Eric Dooley was a heck of a recruiter. He just was a bad coach from a X's and O's standpoint. And even though he recruited well, when it came to evaluating and developing quarterback talent, he was bad in that area there. But in terms of recruit players, like the Southern team from a couple of years ago, from a talent standpoint, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, he could recruit. It's obvious he could recruit, but like I said, when it came to coaching, X's and O's, strategy, making adjustments, those type of things, yeah, he sorely lacked in that particular area. You know what I'm saying? Your boy Jay say I got this weird feeling we might take Coach Oliver from North Carolina Central and give him a pay raise. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll be cool with Trey Oliver. I'll be cool with Chennis Berry. Like, those two guys are really like my top two guys. You know, a couple other people was like, hey, TC Taylor. But truthfully speaking, to get Trey Oliver, Chennis Berry, a TC Taylor, like, you probably gonna have to give them guys probably like a extra 100 bands compared to what they're making now. So truthfully speaking, that might be out your price range. You know, I kind of mentioned it like, hey, you know, since you had Deion Sanders and Eddie George, now you got Mike Vick at Norfolk. You have Deshaun Jackson at Delaware State. If you really want to go the celebrity coach route, I think Marshall Faulk would be your best bet, in my opinion. You know, a lot of people saying Ed Reed. You know, truthfully speaking, like, the way he handled the Bethune situation, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he would be an excellent coach, but, you know, when it comes to PR and that type of thing, like, how would he be able to handle certain situations if Jaguar Nation gave him a lot of pushback, if things really wouldn't go his way when it came down to him and Roman Banks himself in administration? Like, how would he handle those situations? And based on the way he handled it at Bethune, that's the reason why I would want him. It's not the fact that I don't think he wouldn't be a good head coach. He's from Louisiana. He's a NFL Hall of Famer. And my issue would be is, how would he handle those situations if things not going the way he wanted him to go? You know, would he revert back to the way he handled the situation at Bethune? That would be my issue. That would be my concern. So as a result, I wouldn't want him. And like I said, I mean, you got a lot of guys that played in the NFL, you know, great NFL players from the state of Louisiana that will be interested in coaching Southern. I think as long as you get a good guy, a guy that's an excellent coach, I'll be cool. And even people that say, hey, Matt Leone being the next head coach, now, like I said, I wouldn't want a white head coach. I'm going to go more in depth in the video I got coming out later on this week. But I think he would be an excellent offensive coordinator. I mean, truthfully speaking, I think he's a much better offensive coordinator than Mark Orlando was. But at the end of the day, would I want him to be the head coach of Southern? No, not really. Bobby Harris said, yeah, we have a camp every year, OG. All right, yeah. He said, yeah, Felton have a camp every year at EA. Oh, all right. But like I said, I'm not gonna lie, like he recruited this local area extremely well. Assumption Parish. So yeah, I'm gonna be truthful. Like, if they hired him as the next head coach of Southern, like, I would be for it. I would look at the fact that, hey, he went to Grambling and he went to Southeastern. I would look at the fact that, hey, he went to the NFL, and in addition to him going to the NFL, like, he's a very good coach. And then the thing about it is, too, you know, if we talking about Southern Grambling, you know, Grambling's athletic director went to Southern. Hell, Eddie Robinson went to Southern. So at the end of the day, like, a lot of these individuals that's coaching in the SWAC, they went to other SWAC schools. You know, of course, you know, you got TC Taylor at Jackson State. He went to Jackson State, you know. Trey Oliver went to North Carolina Central. Chennis Berry went to South Carolina State. But a lot of these guys coached at Southern when it comes to, like, Trey Oliver and Chennis Berry. So at the end of the day, just because you're the head coach at one SWAC school, that don't necessarily mean you went to that SWAC school. You might have went to another SWAC school or even another HBCU in general. Because, truthfully speaking, if I'm FAMU, the fact that Quinn Gray went to FAMU, if you decide to move away from James Cozy, which I think would be a mistake, the fact that they don't have an athletic director, I would stick with James Cozy. But if you pivot away from him, you know, some people saying more than likely the front runner is Teddy Bridgewater. But truthfully speaking, the fact that Quinn Gray went to FAMU, he should be the front runner for that job. But that don't mean you necessarily need to get him. So at the end of the day, a lot of times, just because somebody went to that school don't necessarily mean that they're going to end up being a head coach. David Collins said anybody from North Carolina Central is a good hire, the OC or Oliver. And see what I'm saying? Matt Leone, I think Matt Leone would be a great offensive coordinator. So I would be interested for Matt Leone to be the head coach. And like I said, I'm a deep dive more in detail in terms of, the white head coach thing. You always got at least a bunch of people, at least a few people, whenever who should be the next head coach come up. You always like, hey, I don't care if he black, orange, purple, blue, whatever. As long as he gets Southern back to the glory years, that's what I want. And my thing is, I think there's a bunch of coaches that would bring Southern the kind of success that they had in the 90s. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a white coach. That's my thing. I'm going to deep dive into it, when we get there. You know what I'm saying? David Collins said, if you think TC would leave JSU for Southern, that's crazy. I didn't say, I say people mention him. Truthfully speaking, I'm not even going to lie. Based on the way the whole Eric Dooley situation went, I wouldn't want to take another SWAC coach from another team anyway. Truthfully speaking, that's my personal opinion. I didn't like the way Southern and Roman Banks handled that situation. I felt like that was a Bush League move, the way they took him from Prairie View to begin with. But I didn't say I would want to take him from Jackson State. I said people said he would be a good fit for Southern and whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. And to me, you would have to give him a bag for him to leave Jackson State to come to Southern. But I don't think he would come to Southern, in my personal opinion. I mean, unless the money was ridiculous. But truthfully speaking, I would be interested in him coming from Jackson State to Southern, considering the fact that he went to Jackson State. That's just my personal opinion, you know what I'm saying? Jay Good said, Reed will be very and openly opinionated. It's in him. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be honest, Jay Good. You and I, we talked about this on the Southern Baller Show. That's my issue with him. That's why, you and I on one end of the spectrum. It seems like Jared and Joe Town on the opposite end. You and I, we really not for Ed Reed being the head coach of Southern. The two of them like, well, hey, that's why y'all keep ending up in the situation y'all in. And my thing is, if you want a head coach that's an NFL Hall of Famer, I'll prefer to go the Marshall Faulk route as opposed to going the Ed Reed route. Because like I say, I didn't like the way he handled the whole Bethune-Cookman situation. And Coach Prime said this and Coach Prime said that. And I'm like, look, man, look. A lot of issues he had at Bethune, P. Richardson had some of the same issues at Southern. But he went about handling those situations in a diplomatic way, and he handled it with class. But the fact that you're going to be like overtly opinionated and you're going to get on social media and blast your employer, like, man, that wouldn't go over well with Jaguar Nation. So, I wouldn't be interested in him. Your boy Jay said Marshall Faulk, coaching Colorado running backs. He can bring Warren Sapp with him. If Warren Sapp would be interested in coming down, but I'm going to be truthful. Warren Sapp probably would be interested in being a head coach at Southern himself. I don't think he would take the pay cut and leave Colorado to follow Marshall Faulk to come to Southern. I mean, if that's the case, he would probably just try to become a head coach at the HBCU himself so he could eventually move up. I mean, that's my rationale. I could be wrong, but that's only my perspective. You know what I'm saying? Bobby Harris said, will you take any Louisiana high school coach for the Southern job? Maybe Edna Carr's head coach. He would probably be one of the only high school coaches I'll be interested in. But truthfully speaking, when you got somebody like a Joe Taylor out there, when you got a Dr. Alvin Parker, you got somebody like a Felton Huggins, maybe even getting potentially somebody like a Marshall Faulk, I don't think you need to go the high school coaching route. I mean, of course, I think if you if you hired a high school head coach, I don't think they would demand the kind of money that, if you hire an established HBCU coach from a D2 like a Dr. Alvin Parker or Quinn Gray or Felton Huggins, I think you might be able to pay the high school coach less. But at the end of the day, I'm not concerned about, you saving a couple dollars here and there. I'm more concerned about them getting it right. Now, I'm not going to lie. The Edna Carr head coach, I can't remember the old boy name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. If he can bring some of the elite level talent that he had at Edna Carr, the Southern, then yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be honest with you. Because year in and year out, I'm not going to lie, like, they got a lot of D2 guys. I remember I was watching their little documentary on Hulu. And man, the amount of D1 talent they put out that plays in SEC and the SWAC, across the SWAC, across the SEC, and just across the country. Like, I'm not gonna lie, from a talent standpoint, if he was able to bring a lot of those guys, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest, I think Southern I probably will pick Southern over Jackson State, because some of the guys he's coached at even played at a lot of other SEC schools, just all over the SWAC. I mean, guys, he coached, Southern, Alcorn State, Jackson State. So I'm not gonna lie, he's done an excellent job. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think that's a talent-rich area to begin with. But if he was able to bring some of those players to Southern, all of those players to Southern, yeah, I think Southern will be a force to be reckoned with. You know what I'm saying? Blackwater Bayou said, what do guys think about Quentin Morgan from Langston being a head coach? I mean, honestly, I think he would be, I think he would be a good candidate, my personal opinion. But how would Jaguar Nation receive him? That would be the thing. Because I think the thing people don't understand is, whether you're talking about being a head coach at Southern, being a head coach at LSU, like, people in Baton Rouge know good coaches when they see good coaches. And especially once, you see the product on the field. And I think that's the thing that really kind of caused, like, Terrence Graves and Brian Kelly. Because I'm not going to lie, from an X and O standpoint, I think the issue with Brian Kelly was the fact that he really didn't embrace players from the past, alumni of LSU in terms of, players from the past. I think the thing from Terrence and another thing with Brian Kelly is the fact that he's supposed to be the offensive guru, and the offense was the side of the ball that struggled at LSU. Like, that's the thing that really kind of think did him in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Bobby Harris, Bryce Brown. I couldn't think his name off the top of my head. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When it comes to Quentin Morgan, I think he would be a decent candidate. But some of the other names kind of move the needle more for Jaguar Nation. You know what I'm saying? Jay Good said it would be interesting to see if Winston-Salem State University, who is now in the hunt for a head coach, talks to Graves, his alma mater. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, from what we was told, I think he got like a lower tier job in Mississippi State. Maybe that's just for the rest of the season or whatever. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it would be interesting to see if Winston-Salem State would be interested in him. Devin Hardrick said, what's the name of the documentary on Hulu? I think it's called Algiers America, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's Algiers America. Basically, the start of it is Bryce Brown and Edna Carr, they're trying to go for their fifth straight state championship in the state of Louisiana. And, like, essentially they were trying to break a record. And, I don't want to give too much of the information, but for individuals that follow high school football in Louisiana the way I do, you already know the outcome of the game before you actually watch it. And the crazy thing about it is my ex at the time, she from Monroe. She went to Neville. So I kind of already knew how some of these games played out or whatever, because I knew who won. And basically it just kind of followed their story in talent-rich area in which they in, on the West Bank. And, it just kind of followed the story. So, it's a very interesting watch on Hulu. I think it's Algiers America, if I'm not mistaken. Your boy Jay say 2 more games on the smell of Dooley and Graves will officially be gone for good. Yeah, big facts. I'm not going to lie. Like, even the coaching staff, it kind of still has the stench of Eric Dooley on it. You know what I'm saying? He said, what about Jamal Jackson from Texas College? He can turn it around. He turned it around last year, first winning season in over 20 years. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest. Like, these are some interesting names, and the name, the list of 10 that your boy Jay kind of brought up, the fact that the National Search Committee has narrowed it down to 10 names. To me, I would be interested in seeing, first of all, seeing some of the names, 1, and 2, how many of these names that we bringing up, how many of these names are some of the names of the 10 names of the individuals that's, in that list of 10. But I'm not gonna lie, Bobby Harris, I don't know which one of y'all pointed it out. No, I think it was David Collins, and like 10 is really not narrow. That's still kind of broad. Like, realistically, I've seen some of these lists. So many people got lists of who they think should be the next head coach. 10 is not narrow. Like, if you say they narrowed it down to like 5 or 3, but 10, damn, that's a lot, Salute to Stuart Darrell. He said Southern University is not hiring nobody that doesn't have Southern University ties and doesn't know the state of Louisiana. You gotta know how to recruit. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about it, though. Some of these guys knew how to recruit, like Eric Dooley. Like I said, I'm not going to even sugarcoat it. Like, he didn't know how to evaluate talent at the quarterback position. He didn't know how to develop talent at the quarterback position. But really, outside of that, Dooley knew how to recruit, but Dooley didn't know how to coach. I mean, you need to get somebody that's one that know how to coach, 2 know how to recruit. But that's the problem, though. Southern keep getting all of these people that got ties to Southern, that got ties to Pete Richardson, that played for Pete Richardson, that coached for Pete Richardson. At the end of the day, damn all that. Damn all the politics. Damn all the good old boy network. Southern University needs somebody that's going to get the job done. Now, I always kind of say, hey, I get tripped out when I hear people saying, hey, they need a white coach. That kind of aggravates me and agitates me. But I will say they don't need to get somebody that has ties to Southern University. They don't need to get somebody that is a part of this good old boy network. They need to get somebody that could coach and that could build a program. So, in fact, realistically, even if they say, hey, we want to go outside the SWAC to get the next head coach, cool. As long as that person is a proven head coach, a proven program builder, and he going to take Jaguar Nation to where they used to be, to that golden era, like from 93 to like 2003, cool. But if we going to get somebody that got ties to Southern University, somebody that used to coach under Pete Richardson, and it's going to be the same old bull jive that we got with the last few coaches. Like, nah, man, I don't want that. I do not want that. So at the end of the day, they need to get it right. So just trying to recycle all of these old SWAC coaches and guys that coached under Pete Richardson, like, nah, man, we're not doing that. And truthfully speaking, that's kind of been what caused Southern in these last couple instances in terms of, like, just because somebody coached under Pete Richardson, they don't make him a good coach. And Terrence Graves is walking, talking, living, breathing proof of that. In terms of Eric Dooley, like, yeah, he could recruit, but he couldn't coach. You know what I'm saying? Devin Hadrick said, oh, yeah, I remember it now. Your boy Jay said the rumors will start to fly the week of the Bayou Classic. If it's Marshall Faulk or a championship winning coach, the bluff will be buzzing with excitement. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, I talked to a couple people. I think they kind of need to see it to believe it. They kind of feel like since the board and Roman Banks, you know, the last few go around, you know, with Terrence Graves, with Eric Dooley, with Jason Rollins, they feel like since they really didn't get it right, you know, the last few times they hired a head coach, like they really need to see it to believe it. So somebody like myself, like you say, whether it's Marshall Faulk, you know, whether it's a Quinn Gray, whether it's a Dr. Alvin Parker, whether it's Joel Taylor, whether it's Felton Huggins, I think if it's a proven coach, a celebrity type coach, yeah, I mean, I think I would be interested. But some people, they kind of have to see it to believe it. So I think that's really the issue when it comes to certain people. The fact that the board and Roman Banks, that they've got it wrong the last few trips, they really kind of need to be sold and really need to be convinced. So, you know, people already saying like, hey, you know, we not renewing our season tickets until like they improve the product on the field. So at the end of the day, you know, at the end of the day, it's gonna be interesting to see who Southern University hires. But they need to get it right. Whether the board has input, whether Roman Banks has input, or rather the National Search Committee does everything on their own. You know, it's gonna be interesting to see. Your boy JC hiring people with ties to Southern got us in a situation. Graves wasn't even good on P-Step. Yeah, and that's one thing that Blackwater Bayou pointed out. He's not the only person, but he's the person that I vividly remember. Literally the second he was hired, he was like, man, that boy was a trash defensive coordinator under Pete Richardson. So salute to Blackwater Bayou. He pointed that out right off the bat. And I'm like, well, let's give him a chance. And I'm not going to even lie. He said it. And I said, well, let's give him a chance. Let's see what he's going to do. And I'll be damned if he was right. So salute to Blackwater Bayou. And just to kind of, you know, my biggest takeaways from Southern versus Alcorn. The players played hard, but I just kind of feel like the coaching staff really just kind of mailed it in. At least the players out there really going all out, going full throttle. But I kind of feel like the coaching staff, like your boy G pointed out, they really just kind of collecting the check at this point. So that's my issue. In terms of offensive and defense struggles, like, you know, the offense is extremely vanilla. You know, Ashton Strata, you know, since they really don't send nobody in motion, like, I don't think he really is able to determine whether it's man or whether it's zone. He doesn't really fully go through his progression. So you struggle in that regard. And the thing about it is you really can't put in Cameron McCoy because, you know, he really can't pass. Ashton Strata is a better passer, but he's not as good an athlete as Cameron McCoy. And he really can't read and go through his progression. So it's kind of like in the quarterback position. Realistically, you know, like some people pointed out, I'll be interested to see what Dylan Compton can do. But more than likely, they probably just going to redshirt him. Whether he stays at Southern or not next year, like it just seems like they're content with redshirting him. But I'll be interested in really, I'm going to be honest with you, I'll be interested to see what all three quarterbacks could do. You know, if you put, you know, you let Ashton start, you know, the last couple games, but you threw Cameron McCoy in there just a little bit just to run the ball. And that's the thing about it. When I would bring him in a game, like, hey, we know he's running the ball. So I wouldn't even hide it. You know what I'm saying? And Dylan Compton, I'll be interested to see what he really could do. You know? So as my personal perspective, you know, in terms of keys to victory, I'm just not going to lie. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I don't see Southern winning one of these last two games. I see them losing both of them. But I think if Southern going to have any success in these last couple games, man, Southern need to start out strong, surge in the middle, and finish strong. But more than anything, they need to get, hate to say it, they need to get like a 3-score lead. You need to jump out on teams like 17-0, 21-0 to have any chance at winning. Because even you saw Saturday, it was up 7. Alcorn State turned the ball over, and you had the ball, and you still really couldn't do anything. You jumped out on Bethune 7-0, and you still ended up getting blown out. So at the end of the day, like they need to really play with a lead, because I really kind of feel like this team is a front-running team, and they're struggling in all three phases of the game. So I think that's why it's going to be hard for them to even really win a game. Bobby Harris said, "What about Brad Sherrod from Texas Wesleyan, or Brian Dawson from Centenary?" Well, like I said again, I mean, really, Bobby Harris, it's obvious. You pretty much evaluating a lot of coaches, but truthfully speaking, like I said, from my perspective, I think some of these coaches would be a good fit for Southern. But my thing is, one, how would Jaguar Nation receive them? Two, how much time would they give them to really build the program back up? Or would you expect the next head coach to win a SWAC championship his first year like Pete Richardson did? And lastly, like of these coaches that you spitting out, like how many of these guys are on this list of 10 that your boy Jay kind of brought up? You know what I'm saying? Your boy Jay said there is a viral clip going around of Graves during recruiting season saying he was resting. We stood no chance. LOL. Hey, if somebody got that clip, send that to me. Please send me that clip. Blackwater Bayou said Southern had a head coach years ago, Gerald Kimball. He could recruit Louisiana, but could not make it on the college level. Oh, speaking of Gerald Kimball, I was listening to that in terms of the pregame. Gerald Kimball is the former head coach at Southern, prior to Pete Richardson. He was, of course, prior to Pete Richardson, you had Marino Castleman and Gerald Kimball. But Gerald Kimball, he was a very good head coach at Southern Lab. He was also a head coach at Southern. Please keep him lifted in prayer, because Coach Pete Richardson, and on the radio broadcast, they were saying he's in Shreveport right now. He's in the hospital. Evidently, he's not doing well. So please keep him lifted in prayer. Major shout out to Gerald Kimball. And I'm not gonna lie, I think schematically, I think, his run and shoot concept, it was good, but things just really didn't come together under him. But I'm not gonna lie, you're right though. Gerald Kimball could recruit. He could recruit, but it really just didn't come together. And the irony is, guys that Chasm and Kimball recruited, when those guys were seniors, their senior year, Pete Richardson first year that they won a SWAC championship. And it would be interesting to see if the next head coach would be expected to win a SWAC championship his first year in the SWAC, or would they actually give him like a 2 to 3 year grace period to really build a program up? But truthfully speaking, in Jaguar Nation, I think the expectation will more than likely to be, hey, you need to win a SWAC championship like your first year in, the way Pete Richardson did. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, what expectations Jaguar Nation have of the next head coach. He said, I met Coach Kimball. Yeah. I knew you was talking about Blackwater Bayou. You was talking about Gerald Kimball. I knew. He said, who's the head coach at Southern Lab right now? I can't remember the guy's name because we did commentary a few weeks back when they played against Madison Prep. But I can't remember who the head coach is, but I know the AD is Herman Brister II, which is Herman Brister III, the safety for Southern, his dad. Jose said, yeah, Darryl Asbury is the SU Lab head coach. All right, yeah. Darryl Asbury and Herman Brister the second is the athletic director, because we talked to him after the game. It was 14-14, and then the player got hurt, and essentially Madison Prep went on a run, and they ended up winning 32-14. They didn't score again after that, and basically Herman Brister II was saying, once the player for Southern Lab got hurt, it kind of sucked the life out of the team. So that's why it was kind of interesting when Zay T-Set got hurt, like the rest of that drive. I think once his mom kind of like encouraged the team and pumped them up, it kind of gave them enough juice to finish the drive. Then they went down the field and they made the field goal and they beat Jackson State. But like I said, more than anything, it's going to be interesting to see who Southern University hires as the next head coach. And in addition to who they hire as the next head coach, like what will be the expectations from Jaguar Nation? Would they expect their coach to win a SWAC championship the first year? When I talked about the 90 plan on Saturday, would the expectation be, hey, we need to give this guy like a 3 to 4 year commitment and just kind of let the chips fall where they may? But more than anything, I think, Southern University needs to get it right. And in addition to getting it right, like they need to commit to this coach for 3 to 4 years and kind of give him a chance to really build the program back up. But that's it for this episode of the Tailgate Party. I appreciate everybody that came through, that showed some love. Joseph David, Bobby Harris, Blackwater Bayou, your boy Jay, Devin Hadrick, Stuart Darrell, my brother Jay Good, Blackwater Bayou again, David Collagen, my brother Jared Lovin Green, my brother Anthony Bolton, Memphis Tiger Man, Motivation to Be a Millionaire, Relaxing Calm Rain, Joseph David again. I appreciate everybody that came through, that showed love. Remember, on Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're going to be on my brother channel, Jared Lovin Green, HBCU Fanatics. We're going to talk about the huge brawl between Grambling and Bethune-Cookman. We're going to talk about Jackson State powering on without Jacoby and Morgan. We're going to talk about, big showdown coming up in the MEAC. We're going to talk about stuff around the SWAC and just HBCU football in general, SciX, CIAA. So we're going to talk about it all on his channel on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. In addition to that, I got a video coming out on Wednesday, talking about the white savior complex in terms of the next head coach when it comes to Southern University. Why so many people say, hey, Southern University needs to hire a white head coach just because Alcorn State was able to win a SWAC championship with a white head coach. So it's gonna be interesting to see how things play out. I got a lot of content dropping. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to the channel. I am less than 60 subscribers away from that magical, majestic 1,000 subscriber mark. So if you have not done so already, please subscribe to the channel. In addition to that, like, share, and subscribe. Again, Wednesday, I got a White Savior Complex video dropping. My brother channel, Jared Lovin Green, on Thursday. HBCU Fanatics, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Also, go check out my brother Brent Fox on his channel, where this show is just me starring Brent Fox. For all my Pittsburgh Steelers fans, also for all my boxing fans, go check out my brother Cadillac Red Supreme Beast Boxing Talk. Go check out my sister, the beloved Queen Shabalaya. For those individuals interested in growing a garden, go check out my brother Growing with Soul on his channel. And also go check out the phenomenal leader of this organization, my brother, 7A Sports TV. He has 2 channels. He has 7A Sports TV, which is his primary channel. The No 304 Show, his backup channel. I appreciate everybody that came through, that showed some love. I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Have a blessed and phenomenal evening. Peace and blessings. And go Jags. You dig?